Cool.
Sure.
What is your experience on how much you ideally should give the AI, so that you provoke it to give you what you need, maybe a little bit more to give you that buffer around there, but you're not just giving it too little or you're not giving it too much. That what's the Goldilocks approach?
Well, yeah, that's a great question, Gene. I mean, it really comes down to, a couple things. The quality of that invention disclosure, right? I mean, you have to have, more than just a sentence or two, but you don't need that much more, right? I mean, it's an iterative process. And to, kind of address, you can go as broad as you want. I mean, it can get you as broad as possible right up to the prior art, and you can, kind of adopt that claim. As a person on the panel here that does a lot of patent litigation, I caution that sometimes because then you get susceptible to validity arguments. And really, when you're in front, you really want to have these validity arguments. Is it always the goal to get the broadest possible claim? For some clients, in some situations, it is. For other clients, I don't want to say a narrow a claim set, but a claim set that's going to protect their commercial embodiment is good enough, and that's what they want. That's what they need. And so the software gives you the flexibility to go as broad as the prior art will allow, or maybe just a little nudge off that a little bit for unknown prior art or other things, or things that just kind of make sense. So I don't know if that addresses your question, but there's tremendous flexibility. I use it, like Dean to, kind of help me with the draft, but I still feel that the claims, it's a little bit more nuanced. Okay, so I can have it, help me with the claim assist, but I use my personal judgment to lock in kind of the claims that I feel that in my judgment for my client and my situation have that proper breadth. And then, from there, it can, generate the specification, the background, summary of the invention. It's an amazing tool, and it gives you tremendous flexibility to go right up to the edge to the prior art as the prior art will allow, or maybe you want to back off of that. Or you have three independent claims, you have a little of each. So yeah, that's been my
Yeah.
experience, is that you can go right up to the edge. I worry about that because then we get into some inventorship issues and some other things that, in the green room we talked about, like, did the inventor really invent, such a broad claim when they came up with something a little bit narrower? But it absolutely gives you the flexibility to go as broad as you like, that the prior
Yeah.
art will allow.
Yeah. So James, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, thank you for that. I just want to emphasize the involvement of the patent attorney with these tools. In the past, it was you put something in, you get something out, and then you've got to fix it and clean it. It's very different now, in my opinion, where it's a very iterative process, following what Thomas said, where you provide that disclosure, it will provide a distilled version. And to me, it's just like working with an associate where you may say, hey, explain that invention to me based on the disclosure you just read. Then you can correct, you make adjustments. So you can actually update the AI at that point. And then you click a button that says identify novelty. And then it will say, just like you would talk to an associate, say, okay, what's the point of novelty here? It does that for you. And then you can again input, correct, adjust. So you are making adjustments as you go through the process to get to the end. So the attorney, to me, is still heavily involved in this, but it's steering it in the right direction. It is very iterative.
Yeah. And Dean, your thoughts too. I think you and your team have sort of a sweet spot that you shoot for, right?
Yes. So I also, anytime I get my hands on new technology, I like to kind of push it to the limit. It's just in my nature. So one of the interesting features that Samir has added to the software is that I can ask it to add more details to the claims. And unlike working with an associate, I can just keep asking for more and more detail. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll push the software very hard and have it create a very detailed claim set. And I'll use certain pieces of that in my detailed description. Now, that's something that I would never put into the actual claims. It's not something that I would put into the brief summary of the invention, but those details can go into the detailed description of the invention. Then I will back up and use one of the less detailed claim sets for my actual claims and for my brief summary. So that like what James was saying, the ability to use these iterative revisions with the software is just fantastic, and it provides a level of time saving and flexibility that's not possible without